Question 11. What are the inputs to the migration planning phase? Answer. The inputs to the migration planning phase include architecture reference materials, requests for architecture work, capability assessment, communications plan, organizational model for enterprise architecture, governance models and frameworks, tailored architecture frameworks, statement of architecture work, architecture vision, architecture repository, draft architecture definition document, draft architecture requirements, specification change requests, consolidated architecture roadmap, transition architectures, implementation and migration plan. Question 12. Define Togaf architecture. Answer. The definition of architecture from ISO IEC 42010 to 2007 is the fundamental organization of a system, embodied in its components, their relationships to each other and the environment, and the principles governing its design and evolution. Togaf supports this definition by remaining consistent with the terminology of the ISO IEC 42010 to 2007 but views the meaning of architecture differently based on the context used. For Togaf, architectures are a formal description of a system or detailed plan of a system at the component level for guiding implementation, the structure of components, their relationships to each other, and the principles and guidelines underlining their design and evolution over time. Question 13. What does the architecture content framework provide? Answer. It is capable of providing the model of architectural work products in detail, along with the artifact deliverables and the architectural building blocks. It drives for greater reliability in the output of Togaf. It offers an inclusive proof of structural design results. It encourages improved incorporation of job apparatus. It gives a thorough typical structural design. It comprises of the detailed meta model. Question 14. Define a circumstance in which you worked with organically uncontrolled individuals on a project. In what way you coordinated the team's hard work with the general purposes? Answer. The typical member of staff joins forces with 10 or even more individuals merely to achieve the daily job. Network routing. The ability to exchange in order to obtain a set of objectives is as significant to industry prosperity as a single entity act, but merely 10% of IT staff members could be identified as network workers. Seek architects that develop worth by functioning mutually in a squad. Question 15. How can the principles be applied to the enterprise? Answer. Principles can be applied to the enterprise by providing a framework to make conscious decisions about IT, establishing relevant evaluation criteria, driving the definitions for functional requirements of the architecture, providing input to assess existing IT systems and future strategic portfolios, highlight the value of the architecture specifically through the rationale statements, providing an outline of the key tasks, resources, and potential costs specifically through the implication statements, supporting architecture governance by providing a stake to allow interpretation in compliance assessments, and supporting the decision to initiate a dispensation request. Principles are related to each other and are applied as a set. In some cases, one principle will take precedence over another principle to meet certain situations. Question 16. Give an example of a condition in which you convinced someone to do your analysis. How did you uphold people's assurance? Answer. The amount of folks concerned in machinery pronouncements is enhanced, indicating that architects need to labor with a unique group of stakeholders, all with their very possessed inspiration as well as goals. Architects need to have powerful affecting capacities to make sure that TA satisfies its purposes, but many do not hit the top. SEB information tells that just 35% of them affect the stakeholders. Question 17. What are the terms related to views? Answer. There are several terms to concepts related to views. System, a collection of components intended to provide a specific function or set of functions. Architecture, the system's fundamental organization of components, their relationships to each other, and the principles guiding design and growth. Architecture description, a collection of artifacts that document architecture. Stakeholders, people or groups who have key roles and concerns in the system. Concerns, the key interests of the stakeholders which determine the acceptability of the system in the environment. View, a representation of the whole system from the perspective of a set of concerns. Viewpoint, the perspective from which a view constructed and used. Question 18. What are the security-related activities within the technology architecture phase of the AD? Answer. Security-related activities within the technology architecture phase of the ADM are assessing the security-specific architecture elements for a baseline perspective, revising assumptions about interconnecting systems, identifying and evaluating applicable guidelines and standards, identifying methods for regulating resource consumption, engineering a method for continuously measuring and communicating security measures, identifying the clearance level of users, administrators, and interconnecting systems, identifying minimal privileges required to achieve a technical or business objectives, identifying mitigating security measures, performing threat analysis. Question 19. The need for Togaf certification. Answer. The Open Group has introduced the Togaf certification program to enable architecture service providers and tools vendors demonstrate that their product and services support the Togaf architecture development method (ADM), a method used in agreement with all major frameworks. The Togaf certification ensures customers that Togaf-based product and service offerings are safe, as professional care has been performed to supply commercially these product and services in the market. A statement of conformance is provided to customers for them to compare freely the product and services to other certified vendors. Question 20. Why is the enterprise architecture so important? Answer. The objective of enterprise architecture is to maximize across the venture the usually fragmented heritage of procedures into an incorporated environment that is receptive to transform and encouraging of the delivery of the business method. Today's chief executive officers recognize that the effective administration and exploitation of details through IT is a key aspect to business success, as well as a vital method of accomplishing competitive advantage. An enterprise architecture addresses this need by supplying a calculated context for the evolution of the IT system in reaction to the regularly transforming requirements of the business setting. Additionally, a high-quality EA facilitates you to obtain the best symmetry in between IT performance as well as business development. It enables specific company devices to introduce securely in their pursuit of competitive advantage. At the same time, it guarantees the requirements of the company for an incorporated IT approach, allowing the closest possible concord throughout the extensive venture.